She will never admit this out loud, but the moment you start trying too hard, you've already lost. Before you even finish your first sentence, she knows exactly what kind of man you are. She reads it in the way your voice tightens, in the way your eyes search her face for approval, in the way you rush to fill every second of silence as if silence itself might expose you. And the brutal truth, you think you're talking to her, but what you're really doing is performing. Most men don't realize this. They believe attraction is built through effort, through politeness, through showing how much they care. They think if they say the right things at the right time, in the right tone, something magical will happen. But attraction has never worked that way. Here's a curious thing most men never notice. The more a man tries to prove his value, the more invisible he becomes. And if Niccolo Machiavelli were alive today watching the dating world of 2026, he would recognize this immediately because what most men call romance, Machiavelli would simply call power. 500 years ago, he wrote about kings, states, and political survival, but the principles he uncovered apply anywhere human desire and status collide. And modern dating is no exception. Look around. An entire generation of men has surrendered its leverage. They chase attention in a digital arena where attention is the only real currency. They over-explain, they over-invest. And without realizing it, they negotiate from weakness. Machiavelli would never do that. He would understand something most men are never taught. Attraction is not created through approval. It is created through tension, mystery, and controlled power. So if you're tired of being the man who sends paragraphs and receives a single word reply, if you're done playing the polite performer while someone else becomes the mystery she can't stop thinking about, then listen carefully because today you're going to learn how Machiavelli would actually speak to women in 2026. Not like a beggar asking for affection, but like a strategist who understands the invisible game being played beneath every conversation. You'll discover the art of strategic silence, the strange power of benevolent cruelty, and the psychological method that makes you the one question she can't quite answer. But be warned, once you see the strings behind the game, you will never again be comfortable playing the puppet, the first law, the fortress of silence. Most men destroy their own power within the first 5 minutes, not because they say something stupid, because they say too much. You know the moment there's a pause in the conversation, a small pocket of silence, and instead of letting it breathe, you panic. So you start talking. You explain yourself. You overshare. You start listing your life like you're presenting a resume to a hiring manager. Your job, your hobbies, your plans, your childhood before the first drink is finished. She already knows your entire operating system, and you think that creates connection. It doesn't. It creates comfort. And comfort kills curiosity. Let me tell you something brutal about the modern world. In 2026, information is worthless. Everyone is broadcasting everything. Instagram stories, LinkedIn achievements, endless podcasts of people explaining their lives. There's no mystery left, which means mystery has become the most expensive currency in existence. Marchi understood this centuries ago. He wrote something most men read but never really understand. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you truly are. Think about that. The average man meets a woman and immediately starts selling himself. I work here. I study this. I like this music. I went to this school. It sounds harmless, but subconsciously it signals something dangerous. It signals that you are trying to be approved. And approval is the language of submission. The Machiavellian man does something different. He builds a wall around himself, not arrogance, control. When she asks you a question, you don't dump the entire answer on the table like spilled wine. You give her a fragment, a piece, just enough to spark curiosity, then you stop. She asks what you do for work. The average guy immediately launches into a PowerPoint presentation. Well, I'm an accountant at a mid-sized firm, and I'm hoping to make partner in the next few years. Predictable? Safe. Dead. The Machiavellian man pauses, looks her directly in the eyes, lets 2 seconds of silence stretch between them, and then he says calmly, I solve problems for people who can't solve them themselves. Then he stops talking. Is it true? Yes. Is it clear? Not even close. And that's the point. Now her mind begins to work. Lawyer, consultant, entrepreneur, something darker. You've just given her a puzzle piece, but you hid the box. And the human brain hates unfinished puzzles. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. Unfinished loops stay alive inside the mind. She might forget the 10 men who explained everything perfectly, but the man she couldn't fully figure out, he lingers in the taxi ride home, in the shower, while she's scrolling her phone. Her brain keeps returning to the unfinished story. Who is this guy? And without realizing it, she starts investing attention. Not because you entertained her, but because you withheld clarity. Most men think attraction comes from revealing more. In reality, attraction often comes from revealing less. Talk less, imply more. Let silence sit between you like a heavy object on the table. If she wants to know what's inside the box, she'll have to keep opening it. Now, the second law, benevolent cruelty, the art of saying no. This is where most men collapse completely because they've been programmed since childhood to believe something dangerously naive. That being liked is the ultimate goal, but Machiavelli understood something most people refuse to accept. Love is unstable. Respect is structural. Love changes with moods. Respect is carved in stone. And in modern dating, respect often begins with a single word. Most men are terrified to say, "No, look around." Most women today are surrounded by men who bend. Men who adapt instantly to whatever she wants. Can we go somewhere else? Sure. Can you change your plans? Of course. Do you agree with me? Yes, absolutely. Even when they don't. Even when it irritates them, they smile and nod because they're afraid of losing the opportunity. But here's the brutal truth. Most men refuse to face. A woman cannot deeply desire a man she can easily control. Biologically, it collapses the polarity. If she pushes and you always move, you are not a man. You are a door, and doors get walked through. Machiavelli told rulers something extremely uncomfortable. A prince must not fear being called cruel. If that cruelty maintains order, now translate that into modern dating. The woman cancels plans at the last minute. The average man instantly adapts. No problem. Whatever works for you. He thinks he's being easygoing, but what he's actually doing is lowering his value in real time. The Machiavellian man responds differently, calm, unemotional. It doesn't work for me. We'll do it another time. And then he leaves it there. No argument, no emotional speech, no negotiation. He simply withdraws. This moment feels small, but psychologically it lands like an earthquake because she is used to men who melt. Men who reshape themselves around her convenience. You didn't. You stayed solid. And suddenly something shifts inside her perception. Your time is no longer free. It's scarce. And scarcity creates value. This is not cruelty for the sake of cruelty. This is structure. You are teaching the world how to treat you, because if you are always available, you become background noise. If anyone can access you anytime, you are not a prize. You are infrastructure. Think about it like this. Most men behave like public parks, open, accessible. Anyone can walk in anytime. The Machiavellian man behaves like a private estate. High walls, closed gates, entry by invitation only. And strangely enough, people respect what they cannot easily access. Now, the third law appears the fox, strike as the lion. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. If he were observing the dating world in 2026, he would identify the traps instantly. And the most dangerous one, the friend zone. Not because it's painful, because it's humiliating. You've probably seen it. Maybe you've even lived it. You're sitting across from a woman you like. You've been texting for weeks, listening to her problems, giving advice, being supportive, being a good guy, and then one night she says something that hits you like a quiet knife. You're such a great friend. And then she starts telling you about the guy she's actually sleeping with. The guy who barely texts back. The guy who disappears for 2 days and shows up again at midnight. And there you are nodding, pretending you're okay with it. Inside, something in your chest tightens because deep down, you realize something brutal. All the kindness, all the patience, all the emotional labor, it never created desire. This is the trap. The belief that if you comfort a woman long enough, she will eventually wake up one morning and realize you're the perfect man for her. But desire doesn't grow in comfort, it grows in tension. And the fox understands that. The average man spends his entire life trying to remove tension from conversations. He wants everything smooth, pleasant, safe, no awkward moments, no silence, no friction. But the Machiavellian man does the opposite. He lets tension exist. He lets it breathe. Watch what most men do when a conversation slows down. The silence lasts maybe 2 seconds and panic kicks in. So, do you have any siblings? Where did you grow up? It becomes an interview. Predictable, mechanical. The Machiavellian man does something strange. He doesn't rush to fill the silence. He holds eye contact, and he lets the quiet stretch just a little too long. Not aggressively, just enough to create awareness. And suddenly, she feels it. The weight of his attention, his presence. He isn't scrambling to impress her, he's observing her. And that alone changes the entire dynamic, because confidence is often nothing more than comfort with discomfort. Most men cannot tolerate silence. They feel exposed. But the man who can sit calmly in silence instantly feels different. Now when he speaks, his words carry weight, and this is where the lion emerges. The average man asks for permission. Can I kiss you? Think about what that really communicates. It transfers the entire decision to her. It subtly says, I'm not sure I'm allowed. The Machiavellian man reads the moment instead of asking for it. He watches her body language, the eye contact, the proximity, the energy, and when the moment is right, he acts. No speech, no nervous explanation, just movement, or sometimes something simpler. 2 quiet words, come here. Not arrogance, certainty. And here's the irony. Women rarely admit out loud. They say they want a nice guy, but their nervous system responds to something else entirely. Controlled danger. A man who is capable of intensity, but chooses restraint. Because if a man is completely harmless, he isn't virtuous. He's powerless. There is a massive difference. The Machiavellian man understands this instinctively. He is capable of being cold, capable of walking away, capable of disappearing without explanation, capable of breaking someone's heart. But he doesn't abuse that power. He controls it. And that is precisely why his warmth feels valuable, because it's chosen. If you remove a man's capacity for darkness, his goodness becomes meaningless. A wolf that chooses not to bite is noble. A sheep that cannot bite at all is irrelevant. Now the 4th law, the mirror of vanity. Machiavelli once wrote something disturbingly accurate about human nature. Men are so simple and so eager to satisfy immediate desires that anyone who deceives will always find those willing to be deceived. Translate that into modern life. Look at social media. Everyone today is the main character of their own movie. Profiles curated like personal propaganda campaigns, perfect photos, perfect captions, perfect versions of themselves. And the average man walks into a conversation trying to impress her with his movie. Look at my car. Look at my muscles. Look at my job. Look at my lifestyle. But here's what he doesn't understand. She already knows men want to impress her. She's seen it thousands of times. It's background noise. Because women are not primarily interested in your story. They're interested in their reflection inside it. Machiavelli understood something timeless. If you want influence over someone, you must understand their ego. And every ego wants the same thing, recognition. But the mistake most men make is complimenting the obvious. You're beautiful. Congratulations. You've just joined the other 600 messages in her inbox saying the exact same thing. That currency is inflated, worthless. The Machiavellian man does something far more powerful. He compliments the part of her she hides. He notices the shadow, for example. If she presents herself as the sweet, innocent girl, you lean back slightly, study her for a moment, and say quietly, "You look like trouble when nobody's watching." Now something interesting happens. Her brain pauses because you didn't reward the mask. You challenged it. Or if she plays the hyper-independent woman, the one who doesn't need anyone, you might say calmly, "You try very hard to look like nothing affects you." Pause. That must get exhausting. Now you've pierced through the persona. And when someone feels like you've seen something real about them, something slightly forbidden, they feel exposed but also understood. And that feeling is dangerously addictive. Because very few people feel truly seen. And when someone finally feels that recognition, their brain attaches meaning to the person who revealed it. He gets me. 4 words. Incredibly powerful. But understand something. You're not doing this to become her therapist. You're positioning yourself as something much more dangerous. The man who understands her psychology, the one person who can see through the performance. And once she believes you see the real version of her, your validation becomes rare currency. And that's when the dynamic flips, because now she doesn't want attention from every man. She wants confirmation from the one man who actually sees her. And just when that dependence begins to form, that's when you pull back. The 5th law, the economy of absence. There's an old line often attributed to Machiavellian strategy. Absence extinguishes small passions, but it feeds great ones. Think about that carefully, because in 2026, almost nobody understands the power of disappearing. We live in an era of constant availability. Everyone is reachable. Everyone is online. Everyone is replying instantly. You send a message. 2 seconds later, you see typing. 3 seconds later, the reply arrives. The tension dies immediately. Everything is predictable. Everything is flat. Now imagine the opposite. You go on a date. The chemistry is good. The conversation flows. There are moments where the energy gets quiet, heavy, charged. You both feel it. At the end of the night, she smiles. Maybe there's a kiss, maybe there isn't, but the energy is there. Now watch what the average man does next. The moment he gets home, he grabs his phone. "I had such a great time tonight." He thinks he's being polite, but what he actually did was close the loop. All tension resolved, story finished. The Machiavellian man understands something different. He lets the moment breathe. The next morning, she wakes up. Instinctively, she checks her phone. Nothing. Midday, nothing. By evening, her brain starts whispering questions. Wait, did I misread something? I thought we had a connection. Why hasn't he texted? Now pay attention to what's happening. She's thinking about you not because you entertained her, because you left something unfinished. Human beings hate unfinished stories. Our minds try to resolve them. And now, without realizing it, she begins investing energy into you. She replays moments from the date, the way you looked at her, something you said, the pause before the kiss. Her brain starts filling in the blanks. And the longer the silence lasts, the stronger the curiosity becomes. Then finally, when you reach out, the dopamine hit she feels is 10 times stronger than if you had texted immediately. It feels like relief, like closure, like reward. You didn't just send a message, you triggered a chemical spike. Now, I know what some people will say. That sounds manipulative, maybe, but let's be honest for a second. The dating market already runs on psychological triggers. Uncertainty, scarcity, attention, withdrawal. You're either consciously playing the game or unconsciously losing it. The world does not reward the predictable man. It rewards the variable one. Think about slot machines. If they paid out every single time, nobody would play. You pull the lever because you don't know what will happen. Uncertainty creates obsession. Be the variable. Be the unpredictable reward. Now, the sixth law, never walk the common path. Machiavelli warned rulers about neutrality. He said something most men never think about. The man who refuses to choose sides eventually becomes irrelevant to both sides. In modern dating, neutrality appears as predictability. Dinner, movie, pleasant conversation, polite text. Wait for intimacy. It's a script. A script she has experienced dozens, maybe hundreds of times. She can predict your next move before you even make it. And nothing kills desire faster than predictability. So, the Machiavellian man breaks the pattern. Let me give you a simple example. She expects you to push for sex. That's what most men do. So instead, you don't. The night is going well. The energy is there. And then suddenly you stand up, you smile, kiss on the forehead, good night, and you leave. Now her brain short circuits. Wait, why didn't he try? Did he not find me attractive? Did I miss something? In one move, you flipped the power dynamic. Usually, she is the gatekeeper of intimacy. Now suddenly, you are or consider something smaller. Most men send the same messages. How was your day? What are you doing? Predictable. Instead, you break the rhythm. Send a voice note. Send a random photo from somewhere strange or disappear for a day. Interrupt her autopilot. Because here is a brutal truth most men ignore. A woman cannot fall deeply for a man she can fully predict. She falls for the anomaly, the outlier, the glitch in the system. If you behave like every other man, you will be replaced like every other man. Uniqueness today is rare. And ironically, one of the simplest ways to become unique in 2026 is to be a man who is not ruled by thirst. Now, the seventh law, the sovereign reality, this is where everything changes. Most men enter a woman's world, they adapt to her environment, her music, her schedule, her social circle, her opinions. Without realizing it, they become guests in her reality. But Machiavelli believes something very different. The prince creates his own reality, and others decide whether they want to live inside it. The Machiavellian man has direction, purpose, a mission that existed before she ever arrived. Maybe he's building a business. Maybe he's mastering his body. Maybe he's chasing something creative. Whatever it is, it's bigger than the approval of one woman. So when she asks, "Do you want to hang out tonight?" and he's already working on something meaningful, he doesn't drop everything. He says calmly, "Not tonight. I'm building something. I'll see you Friday." And strangely enough, that moment becomes magnetic because nothing is more attractive than a man whose life does not revolve around validation. Women don't want to feel like the center of a small, empty universe. They want to feel like they've stepped into something already moving, an empire in progress. Think about it. If you abandon everything just to see her, what does that communicate? That your time is cheap, that your world is small, that she is the most important thing in your life before she has earned that position. And eventually she will resent that. She wants to be the queen, but only if there is a kingdom worth ruling. Your ambition is the gravity of your life. When you are grounded in your own mission, you don't need to pretend to be busy. You actually are. And that kind of authentic scarcity cannot be faked. She feels it. She senses that your life is moving forward with or without her, like a train already in motion. If she wants to be part of the journey, she has to run to catch up. She has to get on board because you are not standing at the station waiting for her to decide. That is the energy of the sovereign. Let's get practical for a moment. All of this philosophy means nothing if your mouth still betrays you the second you open it. Because most men don't lose attraction through what they say. They lose it through how weak their words sound. Listen carefully to the difference. Weak. I just wanted to see if you were free tonight. You hear the apology hidden inside that sentence. Just wanted. See if 3 layers of hesitation. It sounds like a man asking permission to exist. Now listen to the same intention with authority. Let's meet 8 o'clock. Same idea. Different energy. One sounds like a request, the other sounds like gravity. And women feel that difference instantly. Most men lace their sentences with insecurity without realizing it. I think we should try that Italian place. Think? Should try. That sentence collapses before it even lands. Now, hear the alternative. We're going to the Italian place. Not arrogant, just decisive. And here's the strange part most men don't understand. Women complain about dominance in theory, but in practice, they relax around certainty because someone finally took responsibility for the moment. Stop asking questions that weaken your frame. Instead of, do you like wine? Say something more interesting. You look like a red wine person. Now, 2 things can happen. If you're wrong, she corrects you and congratulations. You just created conversation. If you're right, you look perceptive. Either way, you move the interaction forward. Questions seek approval, statements create tension, and tension is where attraction lives. Now, let's talk about speed. You've noticed this if you pay attention. Anxious men talk fast. Their words trip over each other. Why? Because they're afraid the floor will be taken away from them. They rush before someone interrupts, before someone loses interest, before silence exposes them. But powerful men speak differently. They slow down, they pause, they allow space between their sentences. And when silence appears, they don't run from it. They sit in it. Look at her. Let the moment breathe. Because silence does something strange to human psychology. It creates awareness. Now she becomes aware of your presence, your eyes, your energy, and suddenly the conversation feels heavier, more intimate. This is where attraction actually grows. Not in constant chatter, but in the space between words. Now, here's a small technique most men never understand. When you give a compliment, never hand it over completely. For example, you look incredible in that dress. Then pause. Small smile. Dangerous thing is you probably know it. Push, pull, give, take. A little friction keeps the interaction alive. Now, some of you listening right now are probably thinking something. This sounds exhausting. This sounds manipulative. I just want to be myself. Fine, be yourself. But answer one question honestly. If being yourself was already working, why are you here watching this? Why are you still confused about female behavior? Why have you watched other men walk into rooms and effortlessly command attention while you sit there wondering what they're doing differently? Something inside you already knows the answer. Your current version of yourself isn't equipped for this game. And that's not an insult. It's reality. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince to help people make friends. He wrote it because he understood a brutal truth about the world. The world is not a nursery. It's a battlefield. And modern dating is no different. The nice guy who refuses to understand power dynamics is not morally superior. He's simply unarmed. These strategies are not about becoming cruel. They are about becoming effective, about becoming a man with boundaries, a man with standards, a man who cannot be manipulated by beauty, tears, silence, or emotional chaos. And something interesting happens when you start operating this way. You'll see it. Women stop flaking, they start texting twice, sometimes 3 times. You'll notice a look in their eyes you've seen them give other men, but never you. That look of nervous curiosity. They'll say things like, I can't figure you out. You're different. Or, my favorite, I hate you, said a smile. Those are signals not of hatred, of fascination. But here's the warning. Nobody in this space likes to talk about. Power is addictive. Once you understand these psychological levers, once you realize how easily attention, attraction, and emotional responses can be influenced, it becomes very easy to lose your humanity. To start seeing women as puzzles, targets, games. Machiavelli himself died in exile alone. Power without character eventually corrodes the man holding it. So understand something important. The real goal is not to control others, it's to control yourself. These techniques are training wheels. They help you develop awareness, presence, frame. But the final evolution is different. You build a life so solid, a character so strong that you no longer need tactics. Your presence becomes the strategy. Your reality becomes the attraction. Then a different question appears. What will you do with that power? Will you build a rotation of insecure women addicted to your validation? Or will you build something rarer? A partnership with a woman who respects you because you are the first man she couldn't break. That decision comes later. But first, you need the power. So stop begging, stop explaining, stop chasing attention like a starving man. Let them come toward you. Before you go, let me leave you with something to think about. Everything we talked about today, silence, tension, absence, unpredictability, those are the foundations of the game. They change how a woman perceives you in conversation. They change how she feels around you. But there is one moment, one psychological test that happens after the attraction begins. And most men fail it without even realizing it happened. In the next video, I'm going to break down the one test she gives without even realizing she's giving it that determines whether she sees you as temporary or irreplaceable. It's subtle. It usually appears disguised as a joke, a small disagreement, or a casual comment. But the way you respond to that one moment can completely change how she categorizes you in her mind. If you think you understand the game now, wait until you see that. That video drops tomorrow. Now listen carefully because this is different. If you want to go deeper right now, watch the video that's appearing on your screen. It connects directly to what you just learned and shows you another psychological dynamic most men completely miss. So click the video on your screen and keep watching. And if you want to understand the deeper layers of power, attraction, and masculine psychology, subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next lesson. Leave a like if this opened your eyes. Most men will never understand the game, but you do. I'll see you among the